and Oklahoma ranks among the top 5 states when it comes to mastering the art of artificial limbs. Well, after the latest recession, many people were found without a job. While some were forced to take lower paying positions, others went back to school to learn a trade. And she's coached at USC with Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson, and even in the WNBA with Bridget Pettis. After receiving his bachelor's degree in accounting and working in the industry for 2 years, Emmanuel Perry's life took another turn. Well, changing how and how much water is injected into the ground could definitely affect a company's bottom line, but at the same time, so could a class action lawsuit from a person who thinks that they've been harmed by the earthquakes. Cowgirl head coach Chris Young watched his team finish 21 this past season, the highest ranking since 2001. Honobia is a small community of just 8 families, but for one weekend every fall, it becomes Bigfoot Central. And it is that approach that has helped the Dropout Recovery Program at Metro Tech's Career Academy become such a success story. Well, here at Heflin Field, Deer Creek Antlers fans are catching a lot of action. It's 55-0 in the 4th quarter. Antler Vision students live stream an average of 1 to 2 sporting events a week, and they are hoping with more people and more experience, they will soon be covering a variety of sports. And as far as your dad, I know he liked to say the 3 B's. Books, Bible, and basketball.
No boys in that.
No boys. No boys. Now when we return, an Oklahoma sound with an international flair. It's a long way from the lights of Los Angeles to the lonely prairie of Langston, Oklahoma. A journey basketball legend Cheryl Miller says she's glad she made.
The 2 years of trying to get back into women's basketball was the best thing that ever happened to me.
A 4-time All-American and 2-time national champion, Miller led Team USA to an Olympic gold.
Winning an Olympic medal in Los Angeles and having your family watch, that's probably my greatest achievement.
She became a Hall of Famer, transitioning into sports broadcasting.
That's snatching somebody's heart.
Yet despite her list of accomplishments, when she tried to return to coaching, her dreams were shot down.
It was the most humbling, gut-wrenching, confusing, depressing time of my life. And to hear irrelevant, no, to knock on doors that aren't answered, phone calls that aren't returned. In our life, we need to be knocked down a peg. We need to experience what a lot of people feel is their daily life. I'll speak for myself. I got to a point where I felt that I was untouchable, that there was something Teflon about me, and this experience, like I said, was very humbling. It forced me out of my comfort zone.
So she reached out to an old friend, her former athletic director at USC.
From a male role model, my dad's the end-all be-all, and right there is Mike Garrett. Just a man of character, substance, knowledge of just life. And he was my sounding board for 2 years where I'm like, Mike, I can't get hired. I said, I can't even get a sniff, and he's like, just be patient.
And she was, until she picked up the phone, and it was Garrett on the line.
So I was at Magic Mountain hanging out with friends, and he said, are you ready to coach? And I said, yeah, I've been telling you that for the last 2 years. And I said, where? He said, here at Langston. I said, great. I said, okay, Langston. I know where OKC is, Thunder. I know where Tulsa is, WNBA, the Shock. He said, and I looked in Langston smack dab in the middle, NAIA. I had no idea what NAIA is. I heard about it, but it was the fact that he was giving me the opportunity, and I jumped at it.
To the one and only Cheryl Miller.
I knew if she got here and she started coaching the way she is, that the young ladies will only grow and get better as basketball players and certainly as young women.
Prior to Miller coming to Langston, the Lady Lions lost 10 games in 2013, but this year qualified for the national tournament. A turnaround
Garrett says is reflective of Miller's coaching style.
The girls are kind of in awe of her when she first got here. When they start playing and she starts giving them kind of corrective directions, then they realize how much she really knows of the game, and then they also know how much she wants them to improve. She's a consummate coach, and she knows how to touch people and make them grow.
Let's go, move. Lessons Miller learned in her own driveway with her little brother, NBA great Reggie Miller.
We're always competitive, and the advantage that Reggie always had was his mouth. I mean, I couldn't out-talk him. I mean, the guy just drove me nuts. So the best way to shut him up, obviously, was to beat him. But, you know, to this day, there's nothing friendly about even playing, you know, a pickup game of horse. You know, it's always competitive. At, 100 years old, we're still trying to beat one another.
I know sometimes you and Reggie would have games on the same night, and your dad would go with you and your mom would go with him.
I always felt that Reggie got the better end of the deal. Because he had my mom. My mom was a tremendous cheerleader, and she wasn't critical. But my dad, on the other hand, decent cheerleader, very critical. So he was always the one taking me to my games and watching it. There's something about having, whether it's one parent or two parents, supporting you. That's probably what I miss the most now that my mom's not here, is the second or the biggest transition of my life, coming back to women's basketball, coming back to coaching. And wow, I didn't think I was going to get emotional about her not being here. But I know she's here. She's always with me. But yeah, that's the missing part right now in my life, is my mom not being here.
Values instilled in Miller that reflect now her character-building coaching style.
Every day you roll out of bed, make a better you, be a better you, and try to impact somebody. And you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but you got to learn from them, and more importantly, you got to admit it. Be woman enough to say, you know what, hey, I messed up. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done that. Or I overreacted. And that's going to be lasting. That's life lessons. And once the basketball and life are like this, the sky's the limit.
A philosophy Miller says is changing lives, including her own.
Well, Coach Miller seems like she has quite the personality.
She's definitely animated, but don't let that fool you, because she's about the business when it comes to basketball.
But she really acts like she likes her players.
She does, and she even spoke about one of her players, senior Lynette Holmes, and said that she could be one of the best players that she's ever coached. And she's coached at USC with Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson, and even in the WNBA with Bridget Pettis. So for her to say that Lynette Holmes could be one of the best players that she's ever coached was really impressive to me.
So how did the Lady Lions season, how did it finish up?
Well, they started out undefeated, and then they won their conference tournament and made it to the NAIA Division I National Tournament, and they made it to the Sweet 16 in that, and then they finished up with a record of 28-4. And I just really think that their success this season reflects her coaching style.
Which her coaching style kind of extends to even when you do an interview with her, right?
Right. She even coached me a little bit. She helped me out with my jumper, so that was helpful.
All right. Thank you so much, Courtney.
You're welcome.
Now, if you'd like to see Cheryl Miller's basketball tips to the best 5'6" shooting guard on our set today, just head over to okhorizon.com to see our Courtney Maye get schooled by the very best.
Do you want me to read a few?
A note from an advisor about a life cut short. An accident that was 100% preventable. A text message that could have waited. Yet an innocent 18-year-old's life is gone.
Oklahoma FCCLA was devastated this past year when we found out that Heather Hickman was killed in a car crash due to someone texting and driving.
From Dibble High School is Heather Hickman.
Heather served as the state vice president of star events for Oklahoma FCCLA, and the organization's tradition of passing down blazers has never meant more. Gabriella wears Heather's former blazer with pride.
I just happened to get Heather Hickman's blazer.
Gabriela Catrazula is the Oklahoma FCCLA State Vice President of Development.
As soon as you met her, she touched your heart in like so many ways, and oh God, I'm gonna start crying now. I actually didn't know Heather as well as I would have liked to, but I met her this past summer when I was just a little dot camper, and she was like one of the first people to say, "Hi, what is your name? How are you?" Yeah.
In an effort to save lives, like Heather's, Oklahoma FCCLA is starting a safe driving campaign.
This year we began what we call the Oklahoma Challenge, and our goal is to reduce distracted driving and promote traffic safety.
A goal leading Gabriela to the state capitol, where new safe driving legislation, if implemented, would add specifics to the vague distracted driving law now in place. Senator Ron Sharp.
People are losing their lives. There's tremendous financial problems with auto accidents. You don't want to be driving down I-40 and you come to a complete stop and you're praying to God that the person behind you is not texting or emailing or talking on their telephone.
To reduce
promoting safe driving while wearing a meaningful blazer and carrying a letter filled with encouragement from Heather's advisor.
Okay. I'm so proud that Oklahoma FCCLA has had the confidence to elect you. Even though I do not know who you are, please know that I'm praying for you and sending you the same happy thoughts I did to my sweet Heather.
An organization that will always remember, a life that will never be forgotten, a legacy that will live on.